got 1 minute to sit down.
She's always late.
Yes, she is. Yes. Well, some people think that's fashionable. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Tom. Now I got 2 stacks.
I know.
You're going to start sorting it again.
Well, I've added, I took 5 off and I got 2 back on, and they're coming. I don't know whether. Yes, yeah. Warren's promising he's going to bring that up at our next meeting. But in the meantime, I think the review committee can also say, how many have we sent to the board? You know, maybe we need to hold off. You could also look the applications over and see, you know, although it's going to the board, is this a major project that's going to need all kinds of board time? Yeah. We held the whole meeting up for you, Pitt.
Very authoritative.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Historic Preservation Commission agenda, and we are at the Cape May City Hall. It's October 16th, 2023 at 6:02 p.m. In opening, I'd like to say, in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. If any member has reason to believe this meeting is being held in violation of that act, they should state so at this time. I'll ask you to all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I am not the chairman of this commission. I'm the vice chairman. Our chairman, Warren Copeland, is taking his wife on a much-needed little getaway after a long-term spell of bad sickness and then finally good medical reports. So we gave him the month off, and they're enjoying being away. So, and I also would like to say that I do apologize to some people I've had communications with as to changes we were trying to do to shorten up this agenda a little bit. Looking at an agenda with 10 applications on it, we knew that we would have problems getting through that. And the worst thing we want to do is to let people know after 4 hours of a meeting that we can't get to you tonight. So I think if we all work on moving to get together, we will get through this agenda. I'll ask for the roll call by Judy Decker.
Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
Yeah, here.
Ms. Bisagno.
Here.
Mr. Testa.
Here.
Mr. Stevenson.
Here.
Mr. Becker.
Here.
Ms. Wilson-Stridick is absent.
You all received the minutes of the September 18th meeting from 2023. Is there any discussion of that agenda, additions or corrections?
I move they be admitted as accepted as printed.
Move.
I think that was a motion. I'll second the motion.
I think he seconded his own motion.
A little tongue-tied tonight.
Moved by Corbin and seconded over here. All right, that's fine. For those of you who looked at 2 pages, our review committee has had a very busy month. They've approved 37 applications in review. These are people that we excused from coming to the whole board because their applications were complete enough or we didn't know exactly what they were doing. So without reading all these, I'm going to ask for a motion that we approve the applications approved in review.
So moved.
Okay, well,
First,
John.
I'm sorry,
it's been
who was
moved and seconded. I'd like to have just a brief discussion on the motion if it's been moved and seconded. I just want to be clear that are we dealing with simply all the ones that are listed that you just mentioned, or are you moving any
That's
others?
correct.
So no others from our
Right
agenda will
now,
be moved
There'll be
into,
another motion.
okay?
I'm
All right,
sorry.
All right, so the motion is just simply to approve those
You're
that are
reading
listed.
on
Got it.
Your sheet.
And who,
Did you get who moved it?
I didn't get the second.
Who seconded that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, B.
By B.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I think it requires a roll call.
Yeah, we usually do roll calls for all these
Okay.
things.
Excuse
I
me.
mean,
That's okay.
Do a roll call, Judy.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Testa, seconded by Ms. Bisagno. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
yes.
Ms. Bisagno.
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes, with the exception of the two for 219 North Street. I will not vote on them because it's within 200 feet of my house.
Thank you. And Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. I would like to also introduce 3 other applications.
Point of information, I'll make the motion to move these three from the active agenda to the approved and review. That would be the Conrad at 347 Congress Street, Bogle 102 First Avenue, and Celatega at 1521 Beach Avenue.
Second?
I'll second it.
I think it already has been.
Okay. For the audience's information, these are 3 that we went back and took another look at and figured, looking at the plans, they answered all of our questions and concerns, and we were able to take 3 off this very heavy agenda, which will probably give us a little bit more time to get through the others and give them plenty of time. So could we have a roll call vote on accepting these 3 for approved and review?
Motion by Mr. Cogswell, seconded by Mr. Becker. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes, with the exception of recusal or abstention for Celatega.
Thank you. Ms. Bisagno.
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes, with recusal for 347 Congress.
Thank you. Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. We are now into new business. The ones that were in old business were all ones that we had approved, we approved in review,
Now you got one more in old business.
except for 710 Columbia Avenue. So that will be the first one on our agenda, 710 Columbia Avenue, and you're here to present. And again, I apologize that you almost got excused from coming tonight, but you changed your plans back around. Thank you so much.
No problem. So I'm Christina Amy. I'm the architect representing my client, Christine Carlson Glazer, for her property at 710 Columbia Avenue. And we're here for final review. We were here in June of this year. It was late 19th century Queen Anne by Enos Williams, maintained much of its historical integrity. It was last used as a tourist guest house, and we were returning it back to a single family. It had multiple additions in the rear. We did need zoning board approval for that change of use because the zoning regulations are different for a tourist guest house than they are single family. So we came for our preliminary review here in June. We received our zoning board approval. Subsequent to that, I believe it was in August, and so now we're here for our final approval. There have been no architectural changes to the design since we were last here, but I'll quickly go through what we were proposing then, and then the information we did add to the drawings, which was requested regarding the windows. So we did, and we talked about this previously, reduce the side porch by approximately a foot, bringing the rail line back to the column line. The columns were kind of freestanding in the side yard, in the side porch. So we did shorten that side porch approximately a foot. We proposed restructuring the rear portion of the house, the multiple additions, not the original portion, but the additions in the back. over time were at different heights. There were porches that were filled in, built on top of, that sort of thing. So we're aligning those floors with the existing floors of the house and bringing it into structural soundness. Some of the structure is quite questionable. We're expanding the roof deck. The existing roof deck will expand to the rear yard setback line. With that, we're eliminating the rear stair to the second floor, eliminating the unsightly metal emergency, fire escape.
Christine? could
Yes.
you, give us the best page to be looking at on our plans as you discuss those changes?
Sure. So the way the packet is arranged is the proposed site plan, proposed floor plans, and proposed elevations, followed by the existing site plan, existing floor plans, and existing elevations. So regarding the side porch, if you were to look at the page 2 and page 5, you can see on page 5, the side porch, the railing line is beyond the row of 3 columns, and the proposed is in line with it to reduce that porch back a little bit. The rear portion of the house is the floor lines. The rear portion became slightly taller so that those floors could align. If you look at the floor plans, you can see there's a number of steps. The existing portion of the house, is this frontmost portion here. And then there were subsequent additions, like a first floor porch with the second floor put above it, that sort of thing. So we didn't change the length of that overall, just restructuring it to be, the floors to be level, and in that, the roof had to be higher to allow for proper headroom in those rearmost rooms. If you look at the photos, which are on the page 8, you can see on the bottom 2 center photos is where you can see the rear stair that is being removed and the emergency escape, the metal emergency fire escape that is being removed. Again, going from a tourist guest house requires more access for exit than a single-family residence. Other than that, the green space of the lot has been increased, as the existing lot is primarily gravel. Practically the entire lot is gravel. One of the things that we discussed providing more information on from the preliminary meeting to now is about the existing windows, and you wanted it clarified which windows were staying in place and being repaired or being replaced. And after talking to the window repair person, he said that actually all of the existing windows of the original house that are staying the same size and shape, he can repair all of them. So we're not replacing any of the existing original windows. So on the plan on sheet A2, you can see where we've actually labeled existing windows, which are all being repaired, and then the new windows, which are part of the new bedrooms, so they have to be egress and that sort of thing. We are proposing the all-wood JELD-WIN double-hung windows. And the existing exterior materials are staying in place, being repainted or scraped and repainted. The areas of new siding, just where that second floor got higher, is going to match the exposure and the wood siding of the existing building. And then we included the cut sheets, which were there, again, in the original submission, for the exterior lighting and windows. We did add the pavers. We didn't have those in the original submission for the driveway and patio.
Pavers?
Yes. They're like brick looking, but they're,
And where are they outlined for the replacement on the first, page 1?
so on, if you were to compare page 1 and page 3, The existing house, and let me see if it's visible in a photo. You can barely see it. The existing house kind of has a gray cobblestone-looking paver for drive strips in the driveway, and then it's actually a red tone crushed stone gravel in the rest of pretty much the entire property, practically. So we're maintaining the look of the drive strips, but utilizing a herringbone brick pattern, which would extend back to the patio on the side of the house. And then that would also be used for the walkway to the south, which is this walkway up the right side of the house. And then we're adding landscaping and lawn in a lot of the areas of the gravel.
Okay, okay. Do you have anything else to present?
No.
Mr. Chairman, I did have one question.
Yes.
Okay, regarding the AC units on the existing, it indicates they're behind a knee wall. What kind of screening are you using on the proposed?
So on the existing, it was kind of, you could, let me see if you can see them in the photograph. You can see it's actually a lattice, like a cross hatch lattice. And we would probably either do the same but on the square, or if you prefer a louver style, we can do that.
I just don't see it on the,
It's not on the proposed elevation.
okay, but we just need to indicate what you're choosing
Sure.
for the record.
Privacy lattice is really the most preferred for,
So like a louver style or a shadow. Mhm. Then I would say we would probably do the, like a shadow fence style.
what?
A shadow fence style, so it's the vertical that they're just offset slightly, so the air could still flow through them.
Which do you all prefer?
Honestly, from the architect side of me, forgetting design for a moment, the more airflow around them, the better. So, but obviously, the more airflow, the more visible it is between it. So going to a lattice, but maybe keeping it a square lattice, which is what's underneath the house. Actually, the square or diagonal? I mean, if we match the lattice that is under the crawl space, that would probably be most conforming to the existing house.
That would be if you match
Yeah.
an element that's already there.
Yes.
It just makes it look like a little higher area of the crawl
Right.
space. That would be.
So, and that would be best for airflow as well, so I would like to do
That's
that.
privacy lattice, which means 75% is wood and 25% is open.
We will check those numbers and have it
Privacy
made.
lattice.
Okay.
Still has plenty of room. Anybody else have comments on this?
I'm glad to see the house being renovated to be used again, because it has been badly used over the years.
Yeah.
I used to own a bed and breakfast across the street from,
Oh, so you saw a lot.
oh, God.
My only comment is you addressed all three of the primary things that we asked for clarification during the June conceptual approval, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll just add one other question to you. I'm sure the owners understand that they have 3 parking spots, and parking is supposed to end at the building setback line, not the porch. This is to try to keep cars out of our front porch.
Right.
So I hope, I know one of them was trying to get down here today if she could, but just make
Right.
that clear that those are spaces, and the rest is just driveway and should be left open.
Okay. I will.
That's always a challenge.
We did
That's
have
an
that conversation.
enforcement problem.
Absolutely. And we did have that conversation when we were talking about where the patio was versus the driveway and that sort of thing, but I will reiterate it.
Okay,
And that's also what's indicated on the site plan, so it's
yes. It is
appropriate.
indicated.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just going to take that as a representation. That's where the pavers are going to be for the driveway. So I think they've built in compliance, but
Yeah.
That's the only way to get from the street to the parking.
yeah, yeah.
Well, zoning has approved this, so what means they've also approved the parking. Is there a motion?
I will move that we accept the application as presented.
Second?
Second? Moved and second? Discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Motion by Mr. Cogswell, seconded by Mr. Becker. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Testa,
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for rechanging your plans and coming.
No problem. I hope the rest of your night goes quickly.
The next item on our agenda is 1005 Beach Avenue, 8 May. Jean and John Kohler, and you are?
John Kohler.
John. I think your wife was telling me today that you would be the one that would be here.
She's in Colorado watching with Kyle and our dogs.
Uh-huh.
So, because of the change of plans, our architect, Jim McAfee, could not make it tonight. So I actually don't have the most recent plans. Is there an extra copy floating around by chance? Okay. Thanks, Jim. Just in case you guys have questions. I got two here.
When you were with us before,
Yeah.
most of the discussion was on the windows, and I think we covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
But since that time, you've added other elements of change, and if you could kind of review those for us, that would be extremely helpful.
Yeah, so in the PowerPoint packet that we put together, it's like 62 pages, broken down by front elevation, right side, rear elevation, left side, and then also landscape plan. Excuse me. So aesthetically, from the front, the main thing that we're changing is the existing wood railings to meet current building codes to kind of fill the voids there. So the 4-inch sphere will not fit through. We're adding new wood windows at the existing entrance, so it's kind of tucked back in that covered porch there. And those are all wood Geldwin windows to kind of match with the 6/6 that's in a lot of the house. And then we're also getting rid of those vinyl shutters on the front. We're going to get rid of the aluminum downspouts, replace those with copper. The two brick planters in the front of the yard are being removed. Any of the vinyl windows, which up on the 3rd floor is all vinyl windows and in really bad shape, those are all getting replaced by all wood Geldwin windows. And then replacing the old concrete walkway with eco pavers that kind of leads in to the right side of the house. On the right side, we're going to reconstruct that existing entrance stair. It's a little crooked. Replacing existing door there with a mahogany wood door. And there's vinyl windows in that little sun porch area there to the right. Those are all going to be replaced with Geldwin wood windows as well. The rear elevation, we're removing the existing 1st and 2nd floor fire escape stairs, which are in really bad shape. We're removing the existing outside shower, which is kind of like a detached structure from the house. We're constructing a new HVAC platform and screen, removing an existing 2nd floor window, removing and replacing some vinyl windows located at the interior stairs. Those are in the 2 dormers up top there in the back of the house. The main construction that's going on in the house is in the back. It's a 3rd floor shed dormer located between the 2 dormers in the back. And that's to allow for the grand staircase to go from the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor. Right now, their only way to get upstairs is what was the servants' entrance, which is a very tight hallway that goes to the 3rd floor. And then construct a new 1st floor covered porch that's also going to have a wood door as well, and that's off the back of the kitchen. And then left side elevation, not too much changing there, just modifying the existing wood railing to meet the current building codes. And then There's a Anderson patio door as the main door. That is getting replaced with a wood mahogany door that kind of mimics the 6/6, which a lot of the windows are in the house. So that's what we've got going on. Are there any questions about any of that?
I'll start out.
Yes.
Are any of these windows casement windows? Like maybe in the third floor, are they casement?
They're not. They're all double hung, so we're certainly sticking with double hung windows. I've fixed 31 of the original, completely took them apart, reglazed them, new ropes, all that stuff, primed them. So we absolutely saved everything that we could as far as that goes.
With the ones that you've saved, are you doing anything in the way of storm windows, inside, outside, or?
Well, there's aluminum storm windows on there. I'm taking them all off. They're in really bad shape. They're completely corroded. You can't even get half of them open. So for now, we're keeping storm windows off of there. I want to come up with a solution that's a little more period correct than maybe an aluminum window, but for now, we're going without storm windows. So whatever's on there, I plan to take off.
You know, and I'm sure you've experienced it, the weather against that structure is terrible.
She takes the brunt of the storms there. You need to repaint the front of that house every 2 years, so I'm well aware.
Yeah.
And we're also, the French doors across the front, those are all wood. They had somebody made some kind of storm windows in front of those that were made out of pressure treated. They were only about 5 years old. They were completely rotten. They were constructed poorly. The only wood that's going to survive up there is mahogany. So we're doing mahogany screen and storm doors where we can. So I'll be making those. So yeah.
Our new standards book.
Yep, it's very nice. I like
A
it.
lot of ideas on storm windows.
Yep.
And suggesting, wood storm windows.
Yeah, I'll end up making those. So we'll get that figured out.
Okay.
Yep.
It looks like you have a lifetime project.
I do. I quit my job, 15 years with a Fortune 500 company to take this project on. So I'm all in.
Well, let me see what other questions I might have around the room.
Just, I was just going to make a comment. Rarely do you see so many improvements all in the right direction on
Okay.
a significant structure like this.
Thank you.
I think, and I'm sorry you felt that the job was inconsistent with keeping with the house. I know the challenges.
Yeah.
I just applaud the thoroughness that you've approached a structure that's heavily weathered.
Yeah.
It's subjected to the worst that nature can throw at it.
Yeah.
And in time, it sounds like it had some strange things like vinyl windows and such added to it. And so I think the importance you attach to going back to original materials and getting it to both look and feel right is really laudable.
Thank you. And you guys don't care about the inside, but just so you know, there's all heart pine floor throughout. It was all covered by some lovely carpet. And then also in the kitchen area was covered by 7 layers of different kinds of luan and vinyl, and there was beautiful heart pine underneath that is completely being saved. So, it's inside and out. We're doing what we can.
And one can only hope that your personal solvency
Yeah.
remains as you go through the project.
Yeah, and I just wanted to comment, you showed a lot of restraint with the modest dormer. And I mean, it's perfectly balanced. It keeps the fenestration pattern going, so.
Good.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I looked at that, my wife and I looked at that when we were looking for a bed and breakfast, possible conversion. We're glad we didn't, because we found out later that it had been turned down before.
Yeah.
But we opened the hatch into the ceiling over one of the second floor bedrooms, and there was a ceiling fan run off of knob and tube wiring.
Oh, it's 70% of the house is not grounded. So, yeah, it's scary.
But
So we're fixing it all.
This has got to be one of the 2 most recognizable buildings in Cape May.
Yeah.
That and the Sea Mist. And we're glad to see you're trying to keep it the way it was.
Yeah, and I'm restoring the collection buckets and the downspouts. They're copper. Somebody painted them white. They're all I'm taking care of those. They're all going to be copper.
Some people do the houses.
Yeah, so they have such an amazing, like, fluted design. I have it in the thing here. So the lights that we're doing with the copper, they're going to mimic that same kind of fluted design, so.
Have you thought on putting interior storm windows in?
Yes, it's been suggested, so we'll see.
You're not going to replace the vinyl shutters, you're just going to take them off.
They're just coming off. Their shutters don't belong there, so it's kind of silly.
Did we have a motion on this yet?
No, I'm just still going around the room.
Just one last comment, if I could. I just want to thank you, because this is an exemplary way of engaging this process. You folks came in and talked to us before we even submitted your conceptual design, and we walked through what it was you were intending, and you carried it through all the way, to even to the extent of having some of the most detailed sets of drawings I think I've seen, and really went the extra mile. Things like doing a mock-up of the new railing so that we could actually see what it looked like, and you could as well. Refurbishing 31 windows, replacing all the vinyl windows, so I could go on and on. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
B, anybody?
The sign that you're going to put on the.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it is individually on the historic landmarks
It is.
because of the whole city is.
No, I know, but it is. It's
You've done the
there.
private registration process?
It's on the National Historic Register because of the architect, and it's John McCreary's daughter, whose house it was. So it's not going to be called the May West anymore, which was because of the architectural detail of it. It's the Kate McCreary Cottage is what it's listed as on the.
John McCrary, was he the coal baron that had built what's known as the Abbey?
Yes, that's right there. Yeah, Abby. So.
I didn't know that connection.
So yeah, so that's the connection. I think that's kind of cool, when the little tourist bus goes by, yeah. And we have a historic sign guy that makes the sign for us. So he made our sign for our house over at the Point, and he's done a couple of the ones in Cape May. So does good work.
Do you think you could get people in Cape May to stop calling it the May West House?
Well, I mean, it's not going to be on the outside anywhere anymore. We might have a little sign up by the front doors as, formerly known as, but yeah.
We never had luck with Jackson's Clubhouse convincing people it was not the best little whorehouse.
Yeah, there you go.
It was just a gambling house.
Yeah.
You might have the same problem.
Oh, well.
Who knows? Time heals all wounds.
Yeah, we'll see, yeah.
Can I make a motion to approve this thing? So a move to approve the application in final state as submitted.
Second?
By Jim, seconded by John. Any more discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Motion by Mr. Testa, seconded by Mr. Becker. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno.
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. I hope we didn't mess your schedule up too much.
It's okay. Billy started 8. John, do you need this back? Thanks a lot.
Our next application is for 1249 Washington Street, Cape May. And Pamela, if you can help with all names.
Sure. I'm Pamela Fine from Fine Architecture. This is Greg Rich, and this is Shannon Rich. Hi. They are the owners of 1249 Washington Street, Cape May. All right, let me adjust this a little bit. Okay, so just bear with me. I'm sick as well, so I'm going to try to push through. But I will start with the packet, the P1 sheet, which shows the proposed changes. I'll basically outline the site plan. We are doing a new driveway. We'll have a brick front up to the front stair, and then we'll have a concrete middle with bricks around, and then at the far end, we'll have bricks tire strips. This is for impervious coverage. And also highlighting some of the other exterior changes, you'll see we have a shower at the back corner. It says existing, but that is actually new. It's just in the existing location. And then we also have new AC unit enclosure. That pretty much sums it up for any exterior improvements, so I'll start on the next sheet, which highlights the plans. So you'll see any of the walls that have that kind of colored gray is a new wall. You'll see the bulk of the house is remaining. There was a front porch that was enclosed some time ago. That is going to stay as it is because it houses the existing kitchen, breakfast nook, and a dining area. What we're proposing to do, because it doesn't really have a nice entryway to the house, we're proposing adding a new covered front/side porch, which you'll see along the right side. We have the front stairs leading to the street and then up to a covered porch, which then leads into a foyer bump out area. And I'll highlight it on the elevations, but you'll see it, we felt it balanced the look of the house from the street and the geometries of the roof. Towards the back, there is an existing one-story addition, and then I'll call it like a two-story, but it's kind of a staggered step down, basically an addition that was scabbed on over the years as well, that we are proposing being removed. The new portion will have a new set of stairs and a new master suite, along with a new side landing. If we jump up to the second floor, you'll see the rear portion of the house, which has the grayed out walls. That is all new, and that's basically sitting over top of the new first floor addition that I just mentioned. And then the other thing that we're adding on is that screen porch, which sits over the new foyer on the right side. And we're matching the roof slope of the front porch all the way around. So you'll see that, like I said, in the elevations. And then finally, the attic plan. We have the existing attic. We have a witch's hat on the left side, which we are keeping. We're removing the skylights, which I think is a good thing. And then along the back, we have the stair tower, which leads up to a new roof deck. And this is basically for safety and security for that bedroom upstairs. Right now, it just has a very small spiral stair that is the egress. So we felt like this was a good addition to that room and that level for safety reasons. So I'll jump to the next sheet, which is the P3 sheet. And you'll see the front elevation. We have that existing front enclosed porch, which we replaced all the windows. Just really give it a lot of light and air in that room. And then we extended that metal roof you'll see along the right side. So it basically completes that look along the front and then leads you to a new entry door on the right side where that new foyer is. The remaining portion of the house, the gable, or the hip roof with the little gable dormers, exposed rafter tails, the witch's hat, that will all remain intact. We're proposing new wood siding, new roofing, new windows. There'll be the JELD-WIN pre-primed all wood. And yeah, basically copying a lot of the existing architectural details with the additions on the outside. If you look on the right side, you'll see the front porch on the front portion of the house, and then that leads to a new two-story foyer on the bottom and screen porch on top. And then towards the back of the house is that addition where we're keeping the slope of the hip roof, just continuing around the perimeter of the back addition. And then we have a small stair tower at the top, which is that, it looks like a dormer along the back. And I'll go to the P4 sheet, which is the rear and left side elevation. Again, much of the same, trying to keep the roof geometries aligned up with what actually exists there today. We aren't changing any of the defining characteristics of the house, which I feel is the witch's hat detail and the hip roof slopes and the exposed rafter tails. And then P5, there's some details of the railings, just your standard detail, the closer spacing, the wider wood balusters, painted wood cap, which will give it more of a historical look, and the gas sconce that we are leaning towards for the house.
Are you going to use gas lights on the port now?
I believe so.
I'm sorry?
Are gas lights?
Yeah.
We're leaning towards that way, yeah. And then the remainder of the packet is the existing plans and elevations. You'll see the next sheet is the SU1 sheet, so you'll be able to compare that to the proposed site plan. Really, all we're changing is the driveway and the shower on this plan. And the next sheet is the SU2, which are the existing floor plans. And following that are the SU3 and SU4, which are the existing elevations. If you look on the SU3, I'll show you kind of what our idea was for the front elevation. And it reads pretty well, I think, in the front elevation drawing, but I think it reads even easier actually in person. The balance just feels off on this house. It feels like the right side, maybe there was some kind of a bump out, a room, an architectural feature. Just feels like it was chopped. The two-story deck that's there now, it's a duplex, so it services, it serves a purpose, but it doesn't feel right. It felt added on. It doesn't appeal from the street. The front entrance on the first floor is off to the side. The landing is really small. And then you'll see on the right side elevation, that back half of the house just is so scabbed together, just addition after addition after addition. So our intent was to just clean up these two elevations from the street and from the right side and try to blend in with the house, but not overpower what was already there, just complement what was there. And I'll jump to the SU5 sheet, which shows the perspectives from the street and the houses around. And I think the top photo, where it shows the subject property in the middle, really just shows how it just feels like the house was sliced along the right side wall. You can't see the front doors on any of the units. Felt like the front porch needed to wrap that corner. So that was our intention for what we're proposing. And then finally, the SU6, those are just the existing photographs walking you around the house from the front to the right, around to the back, and then finishing with the left. And then finally the last page is just the property survey showing what was documented by a surveyor. And then briefly, I'll run through the material list. So the house already has asphalt shingles, so we're just replacing those. No wood shingle has been discovered on the property. It was replaced in 2004, the roofing. So we will be just replacing it like for like. The fascias, they're all existing wood rafter tails, all to be fixed, repainted, and anything new will match the existing. Same goes for the soffits. The siding will be, is asbestos, will be removed, and new cedar shingles will be added. New windows, like I mentioned before, gelled wood, double hung, pre-primed, non-clad, all wood. They're the 2/2 windows. There's existing windows in the turret on the second floor that were 2/2. They seem like the oldest windows on the property, so we went with that look throughout, just so that everything matches. You'll see in some pictures there's 2/2s, but a horizontal mullion, so we just want everything to match throughout the house.
Have you differentiated where your new windows and any repaired or old windows are?
They were basically all like aluminum windows. On the enclosed front porch, they were the 2/2, but a horizontal mullion. The only old windows that I saw in the house were in that witch's hat turret structure. So there's maybe 3
So
there.
all new windows in the addition?
Yes.
All new windows replacing older windows that are not original windows?
Right, yes.
And are we down to 3 original
Yeah,
windows? that-
we're,
More than that.
were there more?
Yeah, the second floor front bedroom that you can see from the street, from the front right corner in SU6, those are original windows on the front. And on the north side of the house, so on the right side there, those 2 are also original. Now, there's aluminum storms over all of
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
but they take a beating, so.
Almost everything
Yeah,
does.
it
We're getting to the point where when people make applications for replacement windows, we like to see some evidence of what the originals were, what condition they, what proportion you propose to replace, so that we can know whether it's a really full-scale.
Yeah, I mean, we bought the house in '99. They were broken when we, all the original windows were broken when we got the house, but we kept them because of the beauty of the glass and stuff like that. But they're completely dysfunctional, beyond my capability to fix, like the ropes and the lead weights and stuff. Were
So
all broken.
all but the turret and the windows you just mentioned are going to be replaced? Or maybe they're all going to be replaced?
Yeah, I had the turret, yes?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're not replacing the turret windows, not in the witch's roof. The witch's top looks like it has more like
Has skylights in it.
skylight.
We
Yeah,
were
those
taking
are
out.
going. Those are going.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go through the house and see which ones are worth keeping, and then we have to come back for
Well,
final anyway.
that was the point I was going to make. You're
Yeah.
here for conceptual because I
Yes.
assume you've got to do those variances that you just listed on the first
Exactly.
page. So you're going to go for variances, you'll be back
Yes.
for a final approval.
Yeah.
I think we'd appreciate an assessment at that time precisely of what windows are going to be placed. Your materials sheet is good. I mean, it's all the right stuff. It's just when it comes to windows, we'd like to know which
Fair
ones
enough.
are being replaced.
It would be wonderful to keep all, original. What we find with this property is so many different projects were done before we bought it in '99 that there's probably 4 different eras represented in windows alone.
It's terrible to rationalize it.
well-
Obviously, but more detail when you come back.
When I do the next round of drawings, I'll have a window schedule,
Cool.
which will show what's existing, what is new, the sizes, the type of mullion configuration, things like that. So we will for sure have that the next go-around.
Other questions
Yep.
from around the room?
Yes, regarding the use of concrete in the driveway, I mean, do you feel that would have been appropriate at the period when this house was built?
If you feel like we did it just to kind of break up the spaces, but if you feel like having a full brick driveway is more appropriate, we would be open for that.
We
I just feel that
we
it-
love brick.
It looks,
Yeah.
it looks too
We
modern.
love brick.
Okay.
Where the brick would make it look period appropriate.
Right. Okay, I'll note that.
I may be sort of going out on a limb here, and anybody else sees this, and it may be just that my eyes are looking at, I appreciate and applaud the attempt to provide symmetry to the right side of the structure. I think it looks like they ran out of money building the right side of the house.
Right.
So I don't think that really threatens anything, and overall, the symmetrical view to me is appealing, and you're completing it just as if it were the rest of the house. The one thing that does bother me from the front elevation is the use of the tower entrance to the back porch, where you raise the roof line level scene. For that, you need that entrance to get to that back porch. So you put in
right.
you called it something like a tower entrance or something, not a
What
tower.
acre you were looking
I'm looking at P3, Tom.
P3.
And when you look at the existing and then you look at P3's proposed, and I was saying the right side symmetry increase seems great. I mean, I really applaud that. But when I look at the facade, that squarish, whatever you called it,
It's like a dormer pop-up.
Well, it's a,
Yeah.
you have to come up and go out to the back porch, right?
Yes, yeah.
To me, that really interferes with the front line of the house.
Okay.
And I know you have it there so you can get up a stairway and come out to the back. As I look on the, for example, the proposed
Yeah.
right side elevation, it's being used because there's a door there, right? And you can
Right.
get out onto that landing that you
I
created.
think I can work with the way the stair geometry is to land at the highest point of the existing roof line.
And that would be
Yeah.
great because it would preserve your whole front top view of
Right.
the witch's hat plus the existing.
Okay, let
roof
me
line.
work on that, yeah.
So 1 out of 2.
Got it.
Anybody else?
I drove by the house today. I know that house well. I didn't play in it, though, Jim. That was too
You have the
strong.
same laryngitis I do?
We all do. I've been sick for
You have the
2
same
months.
laryngitis I do?
Anyhow, I parked across the street, and it is quite busy with the steps and everything that is going on, just a lot. And I thought, and I looked at the plan while I was sitting there, and how much more streamlined this will look, and such an improvement on that house. I have a question. There is a semi-whatever driveway on the front and the left. Are you going to take that away?
That was to the basement.
Well, that was originally a garage.
Okay.
It was an active garage, although it was really difficult to keep water out of that during Hurricane Sandy. So we, at the time, replaced we pulled out the garage, and we reinforced the foundation work there in that spot, and we backfilled it, and it's a paver driveway at this point. As you know, it's a really busy part of town, so we would prefer to keep that parking spot. Parking is precious on that block. So that's our thought. I mean, we put a lot of money into the renovation to get rid of the flood hazard.
Well,
We called it.
I know that part of town.
Yeah.
We lived at 1241 when I was little,
Yeah.
and the water from the bay used to come up on one side and the ocean on the other, but you're more vulnerable than it was further down the street.
Scared us, yeah. It scared us enough to get rid of that
Right.
garage door, so.
Well,
That was
that's,
my
I mean,
only
that's a
comment.
very vulnerable part of town.
Yeah,
It still
but
still
the
remains.
Parking, but you bring up a good point. I mean, the parking is the issue, or the question, and we would just prefer to keep it because it's used, so.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Comment and a question. So making the front elevation complete appears to match what it originally was on the Sanborn map. So at some point, it looks like it just got whacked off.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think you're completing it back to something at least similar to what it was. Therefore, the normal criteria that any addition appear to be clearly differentiated. In this case, I think it's appropriate.
Okay.
And I think that's echoing a little bit what Jim was saying as well. My only question really is, it appears that the original house had a chimney that you're removing?
What, Jeff?
Oh, yes.
Chimney. So, so it shows up on this existing front elevation
Yeah,
and a
so
little
it's
bit
here.
on the
We-
two side elevations.
Yeah,
Talk
it
to us
was-
about that.
It was in the location. Let me just make sure.
Yeah, it's, based upon your revised plan, it's in an awkward location.
Oh, yeah.
When
It's gone.
it was dilapidated. so
Yeah.
we had to fix it.
Let me see. Yeah, so where I have the stair coming up, the new interior stair, is where that chimney lies currently. Let me see.
Functionally, it's not served a fire purpose. It's
Yeah.
just basically the gas vents.
That's the vent for the gas, right?
Right, so it's quite clear that in order to locate the stair where you located it, you had to
Yeah.
move the chimney, but
It's a little deceiving from my front elevation drawing. It's not that prominent. You'll see on the side, it's pushed way back, further back than the Witch's Tower, and so it's towards the back portion of the hip, actually.
Right, from the front elevation, I mean, when you look at the house, you can't see it.
Yeah,
So the elevation clearly is not how one perceives it in reality.
right. And I think just from like a street perspective, once we add that screen porch on top with the hip roof that connects into the main existing roof, I believe you won't even see that chimney if it were to remain.
So I guess my only question would be, given the way that this stair works right now, and I know you're going to be working on maybe reconfiguring it a little so that it stays within the existing roof line if possible.
Yes.
It might be possible to support the exterior part of that chimney without it being in the way on the first and second floor plans, so that that original component from the house remains. That would be my only
Oh,
question.
so run some beams under there, just hold
Correct.
it up in the roof
That would be a way to solve that, I think, yeah.
I gotcha.
Because it wouldn't interfere with the stair the way that it's configured currently on the third floor. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's all for me, thanks.
A motion. And let's try to include all these things that we're asking her to come back with after a review.
Well, I'll make it. I'll vote to give conceptual approval to the plan as submitted, but with the suggestion that there be consideration and modifications of the design to handle the roof line, to have the, again, I keep calling it the tower, to have the roof line not be exceeded by the tower structure coming up so that you can't from the front side, from Front Street see it. So it would be the roof line protection condition that you don't, from the front streetscape, see that tower. And secondly, since the chimney is an important element to the overall importance of the structure, that the design include a way to maintain the chimney on the structure.
And I think there were two other issues. You had asked to identify where there are existing windows, and Jake brought up the inappropriateness of concrete in the driveway.
Right, so we're talking an elaboration of the windows you intend to replace and the recommendation that you use not a non-concrete surface on the driveway. So I guess those four.
Okay with John's add-on to your motion?
Oh, yeah, I would have, had my mind functioned better, I would have put all four in. Yes, as made with those four recommendations or conditions before we come final.
I'll second Jim's motion.
Moved by Jim, seconded by John. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Motion by Mr. Testa, seconded by Mr. Becker. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Ms. Bisagno.
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is applications from Scott and Louise Cohen for 16 Reading Avenue.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is Keith Davis. I'm an attorney at Nemeth Davis & Goldstein on behalf of Scott Cohen, who's here, and his wife Lois. She's a little under the weather tonight, couldn't make it this evening, and our project architect, Paul Kiss from OSK Design. Do we ask about the live streaming?
Yeah.
So I heard an applicant earlier say that the meeting is live streamed. Is that actually taking place tonight? Okay.
As we speak.
So Lois is home. She's not feeling well, but she'd like to watch the meeting. Do you know what the link is that we could text to her to be able to access that?
If you go on the Cape May City website, it has meetings and agendas, and you click on that, we'll go to live stream.
It does not work.
Well,
Yeah, it's
maybe it wasn't up until the meeting started, possibly.
I tried when I was sitting back
Okay.
there. It went, there was nothing there.
We checked, so just so you're aware, it might not be working.
Live stream, there's a gold bar on the left and it says live stream. When you hit that, hit the live stream, it'll come up.
Gold bar on the left,
Gold bar on the,
not where it says watch the meeting.
no, it says live stream.
Right.
So we will check on that. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Sorry, can you repeat your name?
Certainly. My name's Keith Davis. I'm the applicant's attorney. Scott Cohen is here to my right. He and his wife Lois own this lot located at 16 Reading Avenue, and Paul Kiss is our project architect. He is to my left. This is an existing vacant lot on Reading Avenue. We're proposing a new single-family home, and Mr. Kiss is here to present the plans that we submitted as part of this application. So, Paul, I'll turn it over to you to run through the boards that I know you brought with you.
All right.
Yes.
Will this also need any variances?
Looks
It
like,
will. It will need a variance for floor area ratio. We've filed with the Zoning Board of Adjustment. It's a rather unique case because we also have to make an application with the Planning Board. The prior owner of the property subdivided the property which created this lot, and there's a condition to comply with FAR, so we'll be proceeding to the Planning Board to seek relief from that condition, and we filed a separate application with the Zoning Board of Adjustment to seek the FAR variance. I know that's not obviously before the commission, but we think there's justification for the FAR variance by looking at the neighborhood, and we'll put on proofs to hopefully substantiate that FAR variance. But the balance of the project will comply with all the bulk standards, correct?
Yes, that's right.
We did just get a review memo from the zoning board. We're going to be making some plan changes, and Mr. Kiss is going to run through some of those which came about after we filed our application with the HPC.
Keith, you probably already know that we make a recommendation to the zoning board that that we've approved it in review, or we haven't approved it in review, to kind of guide them as to, as they look at the variances and what problems we're having. We do have a communication going there.
Good. And we understand eventually we'll come back. Hopefully, we receive conceptual approval after the zoning board reviews. We'll come back for final approval.
Okay.
So, Paul,
Okay.
I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So we have boards here, so I can point to things a little easier. This is what was submitted in the packet.
It's SP1.
SP1 is the drawing number, and it is an area map showing the general location of Beach Drive and Reading Avenue. The property was a corner lot and was subdivided into two, and our lot is the interior lot. There's nothing there now. Both lots are vacant. So on our site plan, the street, Reading Avenue, is on the bottom of the page, and this shows the paving patterns and circulation. We're proposing parking underneath the building, set back about 14 feet from the front of the porch in garages, and then the third required parking space behind the house, behind the line of the house on the left of the house. We're proposing a swimming pool in the backyard and patio space, and a small accessory building to enclose the pool equipment and house the HVAC units. So I'll move on.
Questions on SP1? Okay.
Drawing number A1 is just a larger version of what was on the site plan, showing the parking underneath, storage along the side, pool storage in the back, and an enclosed area for trash cans, an outside shower to the right rear of the building. In the back of the building, there are exterior stairs going up to the upper level, and the main building entrance addresses the street and straight up to the front door. The drawing on the left is the first floor plan, which shows the bedrooms and bathrooms, and the porch that wraps around from the back of the building on the left all the way around, partway back on the right. The next page, drawing number A2. The second floor is the main living floor, which is living room, dining porch, kitchen, small exercise room, and a powder room. The stairs up through the building, or internal stairs, are in the back. The center portion of the front of the building is a screened-in porch and to the left, off the dining room, is a screened-in dining porch. Drawing on the left is the third floor, which is the master bedroom suite, which has the bedroom, bathrooms, closets. There's an outside deck, which I'll show on the elevations, kind of designed into the roof lines, and then a porch facing the street. That one. Drawing A3. Shows the front of the building at the top, the left side of the building at the bottom, and then the references we use for design of a shingle-style home. I'll go through the materials on the last page. Double-hung windows with 9 light in the top for most of them, 1 light in the bottom, some smaller decorative windows with a diamond pattern. Then drawing A4 is the rear elevation on the bottom and the left side elevation at the top. And this one. Drawing number A5 is kind of material swatches of what we're proposing, along with photographs of the existing site. So our site is up next to the condo building that's on Beach Ave. We haven't decided 100% on roof material, but we're looking at cedar or asphalt, looking at white cedar siding, brick around the piers and the bases, driveway of brick with drainage. The rear patio is some sort of light-colored stone. Any kind of metal roofing over the porches would be a standing seam. Railings would be all traditional design, closer spacing. And we do have a rendering that we'd like to submit.
And what's the plan sheet? Have we labeled it?
It's called P1. So there are just a couple of minor changes that we are proposing due to the zoning board's engineers.
These are changes from the plans originally submitted with the application.
Right. So I can go through those now if you'd like, because the rendering is based on the revised drawing.
Okay?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Probably a good idea if you would use that and show us what the revisions are.
Yes.
You want me to hand out this exhibit?
Yeah, so this is the revised drawings.
Now I'm getting
What I'm facing around now is SP1 with a new revision date that shows the changes that you're making to the plan as a result of the zoning board review memorandum.
That's correct.
All right. Now, what you're passing around now is what's inside this rendering, or
That,
is this rendering what you've been showing us to begin with?
no, that rendering that was just circulated mirrors what
The revised drawings that I'm about to go through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Paul, so why don't you walk us through the various changes you made from what was submitted to the HPC originally?
So intent was to request one variance for floor area ratio. When the review memo came back, they picked up a couple of things that would require further variances, which was not our goal. The first one was the front steps. The steps were designed to stretch out a little bit and be a little more gradual to get up to the front porch, but that would require a front yard setback variance. So on the revised packet, the steps have been pulled in behind the setback and pushed up into the porch. Yes.
Shorten the steps.
The second was an oversight on our part, forgetting that Cape May does not allow patios around pools between the pool and the property line. There has to be a 10-foot setback with no patio. On the revised drawing, the revised design, we've made that grass and taken away the paving. Final change is actually a design change. When Scott and Lois looked a little harder and realized that the porch off of the master bedroom at the top floor was not covered, there was no protection from the sun, they asked me to extend the roof line out so there's a cover over that porch. And that is most easily seen. In the rendering.
Yeah, right.
P1. So you see the steps are at the setback now, and the roof has been added here, and the other things you don't really see.
So with those changes, the only variance we're going to be requesting from the Zoning Board of Adjustment is for floor area ratio. All the other bulk standards are complied with.
Correct.
Anything else you wanted to add?
Just pointing out on the rendering sheet that it is in context on the site as it would appear if built, next to the condo building on the left. And there is another house that's been approved for the corner lot, but that's not my client.
It's not built yet.
It's not built yet,
Part of the
yeah.
streetscape.
Yeah,
So for streetscape, we have a condo on one side and an empty lot.
yes,
Correct.
At this point.
yes.
And just to put it into perspective, as to the FAR variance, it's equal to approximately 300 and some square feet.
It's a 300 square foot variance, so the reasoning for that is the code allows us to have a 300 square foot garage detached from the house, and we'd like to take that 300 square feet and incorporate it into the building. So the design this design includes the 300 square feet, but does not include a 300 square foot separate garage building.
And there are no detached accessory structures.
There's a small accessory structure to enclose the pool equipment, which has to be elevated. The context photos do show the houses across the street. So there's another condo on Beach Avenue, and then there are a couple of houses directly across the street. Kind of similar with steps leading up to porches that wrap around.
Questions?
Well, are you all finished?
Anything else you wanted to add? I think we're done.
We'll probably have questions for you, but I'd like you all to finish your presentation before we start.
I think that
That's the presentation.
that concludes our
Okay.
presentation.
Okay, who would like to start?
Is this house taller than the condos next to it?
It is probably,
I make it at about 44 feet, 45 feet off the street.
I'm asking him.
Yeah.
Well, we
I
can
hear
tell you
That's
certainly
I
what the
make.
building height is. What's that?
yeah, I could tell you our building height. I don't know the building height of the condos.
Does it look taller?
It's going to be a bit taller. I don't know if it's 8 feet, somewhere in that range.
What's our building height?
Our building height is that up.
It says 40, but it starts about 5 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Visually, it's about 45 feet.
It's the way, yeah, it's the way that building height is measured. Here we go. So it's 40 feet to the peak, 35 feet to the midpoint of the eave to the ridge, and the 40 feet starts from 3'4" above the ground. Right.
Close to 40.
So 44 feet, call it 44 feet.
Okay, the other thing was, I mean, did you get approval through zoning for the parking underneath?
We haven't gone to zoning yet.
Okay, because, I mean, there is a prohibition in the historic district from having parking underneath buildings.
That was not in the review letter.
It did not come up,
Actually,
did not come up from the board
There's actually an
engineer.
ordinance to that.
Well, the board engineer gave us a 12-page review memo.
Actually, not to raise buildings high enough above how far they need to go for flood insurance to get parking underneath. But it hasn't really, I'm pretty sure about this, it hasn't actually said you can't, in new construction, have parking underneath.
Right,
And we
that,
do
you know,
have the issue of garage doors and driveways on the front of the house
Right.
versus getting cars.
Well, that would be the next follow-up.
And I'd like to make that comment in terms of, forget about the prohibitions. We very much dislike front-facing garages to the main street. And in fact, there have been entire blocks of new development, I'm talking about the R1A block between Pittsburgh and Baltimore, in which the covenants that were negotiated provided for no front-facing garages off the main street. To me, that's a deficit of this design. I really dislike seeing garage doors coming off of Reading Avenue.
Well, we're aware of that concern about front-facing garage doors, and we took a thorough review of your standards. And I know you've looked at it, your office, Paul, correct?
Well, we did look at it, and trying to be sensitive to that because the lot is a small, somewhat narrow lot. You know, to try to get a garage entering from the side really isn't possible. There's just not enough maneuvering space. So that's why I set the garage back 14 feet from the front of the porch, so that it really minimizes that impact. So bear with me. Sorry. So around the base of the building, we have panels infilling in between the piers, and we designed the doors to be a carriage-style door, similar to what's in the recommendations. My thought was also we could just make this look like the other walls that are around the base of the building, so it doesn't look like garage doors.
But we did look at your standards, and on page 59, there's actually an example that's put forth, which has a front-facing garage door with living space above that garage space. And I think you've also conducted an analysis of other homes in the neighborhood that have front-facing garage doors.
We did. There is definitely precedent in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm not saying there isn't. I'm saying it's not a direction that I personally like to go in, and it's a direction that in the last 20 years has been where it hasn't been prohibited. It's been negotiated out of existence. It causes the structure to be really tall and massive and reach the 44 feet. I mean, it's to me, looking at this is one story too tall, and it's too tall because of the garage space underneath.
So a couple of points there. You just referenced page 59 of our new standards. Notice that garage is over to the side of the porch, so the actual porch height is significantly lower than the floor joists would need to be required to be above that garage. And on page 58, the standards state very clearly, the primary building should have a similar orientation in relation to the street as the existing historic buildings in the vicinity and be at a pedestrian-friendly scale. So unfortunately, as much as I really appreciate this rendering, it's not doing me any favors. There's nothing pedestrian-friendly about walking by 3 open bays, 2 of which are garages, below a porch that's up 8 feet 4 inches above the street. So, in my view, this is completely inappropriate with regard to our current design standards.
What's the impact, I'm just curious, as to pedestrian friendliness? What's
So-
the connection to that?
It's called streetscape.
It's called streetscape.
We have,
So it's
every
the,
neighborhood has developed its streetscape over time.
so it's the ability to walk by a structure and appreciate the quality of the structure, either directly across from it or directly in front of it. And basically, if you're staring up in the air at the bottom of a porch, that makes it less friendly, as opposed to looking at a setback distance and taking in the structure in a sweeping view.
So I'll quote further from page 57, that the new construction should maintain the prevalent character of the streetscape, basically saying the same thing, it just got a little more detailed in the standards. And the relationship of the building to open space along the street, divisions between lower and upper floors, porch heights, etc., should be in alignment with the historic character of that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Notice, you are located next to a large condo, but across the street, directly across the street, are two buildings of historic character, and across the corner, so the only one that really is outside of what I would call establishing the context and character of the vicinity that these standards are directly referencing, isolating it to the exception, which is the sort of missing tooth in the context and fabric of the neighborhood, to the condos next door would be inappropriate.
Yeah. I mean, the condos are there, and they were put there. These, both Reading and Trenton, were the last fill-in blocks. I'll go back historically to the time when East Cape May was developed, and the East Cape May Real Estate Company sold off lots, and it turned out that historically, Trenton and Reading had less in the way of sales, so they were open longer. But although there is a condo, as John just pointed out, at Beach and Reading, if you go across and you walk up Reading, there are historic homes. And I would include those in the things that this structure would affect. So it's not just the condos, although you are next to a condo. And I think that's at the root of at least my problem, is that it really departs from, you've got to look more than just one house to one side and one to the other. You've got to walk up the block, you've got to turn the corner, you've got to look at New Jersey, you've got to look at Reading, and I don't think this really pays a lot of homage to that. That's
Our new standards, which we've just recently adopted, and gave a lot of fanfare to. We've had 3 different public hearings on them to get everybody acquainted with these. They really spell out what we're looking at streetscape. And I as my mates here have indicated, they feel this is in real violation of that. Just to show you we're consistent, we're dealing with a rather similar project to this on Grant Street, which we've actually sent back to the drawing board 2 different times to tell them it's just too big to put on that property. I don't have the exact address on it. It's actually a house that's going to be a colonial revival house that's going to be demolished and to build this. But we've already turned them down twice, and I hope they're rethinking to scale this whole thing down. So as you stand and look around that neighborhood, you don't have this hump in it for this one house. And there's actually diagrams on our new standards that just show exactly what we mean by streetscape and trying to match elements, heights, total height of the building. And this one you show, I mean, it's higher than condominium buildings in front of it, and it certainly is way higher than private homes across the street.
All right, we're behind it.
We're behind it.
Do you have some idea what the timing will be for your FAR variance process?
Yes, we're scheduled for December 12th. Does that sound right? They were going to agendize us in November. We had scheduling conflicts.
So you'll basically know after that meeting where they stand on your application.
That is correct. Plus, remember, we also have to go to the planning board.
I mean, I couldn't vote to give this conceptual approval. I would move to table it with a waiver.
Now, do we table it, or do we say we do not give conceptual approval of this for reasons?
Well, I don't see any reason to table it unless the applicant wants to table
so you would just
Before we
deny
do
it.
that, are there any other comments that commission members have with respect to the architectural style of the home?
It is new construction, so it would be non-conforming. So we're not going to hold you to all the standards for materials and everything like that. Although they're certainly looking like you're planning on using excellent materials for that.
Yeah, I mean, your materials list is good,
Yeah.
so that's not an issue with me.
Except for the PVC railings and, right, I mean, there's nothing prohibiting you from using them, but if you are trying to fit into the context of the neighborhood, that doesn't really appear appropriate. But, I mean,
Look, we looked at, just in fairness, we looked at the neighborhood with a more limited view than obviously you are. Appreciate your feedback. We looked at the condo building, and we have a vacant lot next to us. And that's the section of the neighborhood that we looked at. Just to let you know what our perspective was.
Of course.
Were you going to add something?
Yeah, I was
So
going to,
we're equally selective. We look directly across the street at the two historic houses, and actually there's one right next door moving up Reading, and there's two more across the street. If you would go out the front of this house, turn left and turn right again, you'd find two more. So the streetscape is really anything that's visible from when you're looking at that house, what's the context? So we can't be selective in just limiting the streetscape to the condos next door or the ones diagonally across the street.
You were going to say something?
on the railings, yeah, the intent for the railings is to use, it's a company called Intex, which you're probably familiar with. There's no exposed fasteners, everything's hidden, and the railing is painted. So, you know, you have the paint, you have that look.
Yeah, it's certainly better than the standard
It's
vinyl.
not a-
that you
not a
get.
vinyl
No, it's
railing.
not vinyl, yeah. So, but it's PVC.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I do have one comment about the massing. So I really appreciate your attempt to make this beautiful wraparound porch, which would be very nice for your inhabitants, but you're also referencing specifically with what you put in your drawings, stick style. And also very much appreciate that reference, but notice that the stick style would never have this relationship of proportions of openness to closed on the entire front facade for a complete two-story porch, plus a third-story porch that's open. What I'm trying to say is that there would be a much more balanced relationship between the walls that are opaque and solid relative to those which are completely an open porch. It also happens, the same thing happens on the, actually nearly all of the entire facade on the left side as well, which is what faces, you know, I understand why you're doing it because you showed that little diagram of trying to get the views over the ocean. But if you're trying to, in some ways, be compatible with stick style, which is essentially the house across the street, much appreciated, but the proportions of what is open to and closed is inconsistent with that attempt. Therefore, if you look at this rendering, you know, I looked at it and I said, oh man, this doesn't look like this belongs in Cape May, and I had to think, well, why is that? So that's why I'm mentioning that maybe one of the reasons why is that proportional issue of what's open to what isn't.
Any other discussion? Could I have a motion?
I would move to deny this conceptual submission.
I'm sorry,
Hold
John.
on.
I talked-
Can I have 1 second to talk to my client?
Yes,
I think we'd like to have it adjourned. Let us go back, let us take the comments that the HPC has made today, and we'll come back to you and present
So we
a
will
different
table it,
design.
and the timetable that we have for 45 days is not running.
Correct. We waive those time
You're agreeing
deadlines.
that we have an open timetable on this.
I will withdraw my motion. I will withdraw my
I didn't
motion.
even hear it, John, so,
You said deny, and then I
yeah,
jumped in.
they like a softer approach.
Counselor, I have one other thing, too. I know, we talked about the parking underneath, and it's my impression that the city did pass an ordinance, so I would contact the city clerk and see if there is any ordinance regarding parking underneath elevated structures.
Yeah, please do so, because we are going to rely upon that memo.
Yeah, and that's independent of our purview. It may be an ordinance that covers that.
And we did review We did review all the zoning requirements with the zoning officer, who is now a different zoning officer, so.
Yeah.
But, and
Yeah,
and
this
they
just
said it was
happened-
okay.
Yeah, it was publicized probably about a year and a half ago
Yeah.
in the papers.
But we were told it was okay, but we're definitely.
Yeah, we'll look
find
into
out
it.
about
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
So
at the
things can be okay legally, but maybe not okay aesthetically.
At the applicant's
By the
request,
way.
he would like it tabled.
Which is why I like to make that motion that I started off making before. So motion to table the application and subject to the waiver of the 45-day period.
Second.
Second. Did I cut you off of anything you wanted to say?
No, I
I'm
said it.
sorry.
No, I
Okay.
said it.
All right, moved and second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Motion to table by Mr. Testa, seconded by Mr. Cogswell. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Ms. Bisagno.
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Our next application is actually two applications. It's for 122 Decatur Street, one for demolishing the rear porch, landing and stairs, and we will go ahead and handle that first, but if you overlap a little bit into what your plans are, that will help us a little bit understanding what's coming down and what's going up to replace it.
Let me make a comment about this first. Apparently what's intended to be removed, one-story, 50-square-foot addition and adjacent exterior landing and stairs, and then we build a one-story addition and rear porch in the same footprint. As I indicated in an email that I circulated among the commission, the 9 points that we might normally apply to a demolition really wouldn't fit this particular application. This is more of a removal of a portion of a building in conjunction with the renovation of the building. That's not an uncommon situation where you're removing something that is not a major part, certainly not more than half, but here a small portion of the existing building. So it would be my opinion that a specific demolition application wouldn't be necessary here. The aspect of this renovation being a removal would be included in what we're referring to as the second application. It should be considered all as one.
Okay.
Very well.
So now you have half the work.
Yeah, great. I appreciate that. My name is Greg Charnock. I'm representing Stokes Architecture, the design firm behind the project, and
Greg, again?
Charnock.
Charnock.
Yes.
You want to spell that for our secretary?
Yes, Charnock.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a single-family home here on Decatur Street. It's once in its lifetime did serve as multiple residences and has multiple entrances currently. What we're proposing is essentially an interior renovation. We're removing three aspects of the exterior. There's two stairs on the exterior alley, and there's a metal staircase on the roof that served as an egress stair at one point. And then there's also the small porch at the rear entry of the house.
I'm sorry, if I can just interrupt for a minute. I'm the secretary.
Yes.
I don't see your name or anything on the application. Are you the architect?
Yes.
So are you from this firm?
Stokes Architecture.
Stokes Architecture?
My name is, I did submit, our contractor submitted everything. My name is also on there separately.
Yeah, he's listed.
I prepared the documents.
Right, but you should still be listed here.
He is, Judy. Under
He's on here?
Contractor contact. I guess I see both McDowell and you, Greg.
Yes.
Okay,
both
he's
names are
he's
there.
on the other one. Okay, you're not on the building. You're not on this one.
Okay, I'm sorry, my mistake.
Okay, thank you.
So the demolition would consist of a small at the rear porch and the roof, and a small, essentially what was tacked on at one point with a incomplete foundation. What we're proposing is to rebuild that in the same exact footprint, but extend the roof of that to the rear edge of the building line, and extend the porch to create a covered porch in that area. That is essentially the extent of the exterior renovations of the project. Where there would be exterior doors will be replaced with new windows. We're placing new windows on the rear of it. We're not touching anything on the exterior at the front. All of this exterior work is on the side alley and at the back. In the included sheet of exterior photographs, we point out the existing structures that are on the side of the house and the rear stair and at the rear of what's labeled project area, which is the main one-story addition that will be removed in a similar fashion.
Greg, if I could interrupt you just for a second. Are any of your new additions extending further out than existing additions onto the house that would require a variance?
We are keeping the exact same floor area of the house, interior-wise. The one extension that we are adding is we're extending the roof line of the one-story addition to meet the rear edge of the roof to create a covered porch, where there already was an existing porch. What we were doing is removing staircase and a porch and basically extending that so the stairs of the exterior porch go beyond the current building footprint. But we're not creating any new interior space that is not existing. What we're basically doing is removing a one-story addition that is frankly somewhat dilapidated at this point. It was never really built correctly, so we're replacing that foundation, rebuilding that in similar fashion, using the same matching wood painted siding, matching the asphalt shingles that exist in that area, but just extending the roof and creating a hip roof to kind of complete the structure and give, basically a more gracious entry at the rear of the house, maybe store a bag there, just kind of create a little bit of a covered area that is protected from the elements. And we'll be using, so the addition is, we'll be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new windows. Overall, we're using all double hung, solid wood Marvin windows. And at the rear, we're using a true style solid wood painted door at the rear of the new addition, where the addition would be.
Yeah, Craig, I had a question regarding that.
Yes.
On the material list, it indicates you're using truss style solid wood custom. And in the description on the catalog cut, it indicates it's engineered panelings. And the one acetylated wood, which I understand they inject something in it to preserve it.
Yes.
And, I believe that's been okay in the past. But the other part says that it has a tricoya top layers. Does that indicate that it's a laminated door?
No, it's not laminated. It's a solid wood, but yeah, it's basically a solid wood. It's injected with some level of.
I mean, sort of like Oralast?
It's like vinegar. John, you're the Akoya fellow here.
Akoya, I mean, essentially, it's similar. It's probably a competing brand name for Akoya, essentially.
Yeah, it probably has an engineered wood substrate that you don't see. It's just for dimensional stability, and then it's an Akoya wrap around that substrate would be my guess.
Yeah, this is it's an exterior product, but it will be covered, but it will be painted in the end to kind of just create.
And all Akoya is it's a wood that has been impregnated with vinegar so that it'll last pretty much for 50 years or more.
Yeah, it's really becoming, in some instances, a popular substitute for other treated, and it has a remarkably long life so far, but it's new.
Like Oralast, right?
And less chemical.
It's a treatment to the wood. Treatment to the wood.
Okay.
But we would call it a wood door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only concern was when it said top layer, I thought it was a laminate product.
Yeah, I understood.
But I'll defer to John's
Semantics.
expertise there.
But I do have a problem on your materials list. Your railings and your decking are listed as composite, and this is a contributing structure.
So you would like it to be all painted wood?
I don't know that we have a lot of choice.
So
I mean, that's our,
when you say that, is this something that can be built with a pressure-treated interior and faced with solid finished wood that is painted, or is that?
yeah, yeah. But the composite aspect of grinding up powder and making up a mush and then forming wood out of it is not one of our, not on our list. So I would say that in moving on this, any condition I would attach would be to remove the railing and decking materials
Yeah,
from
we're
being
absolutely
composite
open to doing that.
to all wood.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. It's a minimal railing. We'd be happy to
Right.
go the extra mile and make it correct.
So are you Gregory?
Yes.
Okay. So I only have one question, Gregory. Otherwise, I think this is fine. What you're saying on your materials list, on our materials checklist, is there's a signature Ultima wood double hung, and your cut sheet is for the Marvin Ultimate double hung. And when I looked that up in the catalog, it says that it is aluminum clad. So that would be something that we wouldn't be able to approve. So we just need to make sure, if this is a final, that what you're installing are the exterior surface of the wood is in fact primed wood, not aluminum
Yes,
clad.
there'll be no double clad, or no clad on the exterior of this.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sorry if I.
That's all right, because it doesn't match the cut sheet. I mean, I can't read the lettering too small, so I looked it up online.
Yeah.
And the Marvin Ultimate is in fact aluminum clad. So I just want to make sure that these are primed wood windows on the exterior.
Shouldn't our drawings have a few more measurements on them to show the width of framing around windows, height of rails, design of things? I'm not seeing really much of that. Although I got a lot of paper flowing around in front of me here.
Yes, they should.
It's what we refer to as full construction drawings.
I guess. Yeah, I'm not finding anything that really gives us those exterior measurements that we can look at, cornices, framing around windows, framings around doors.
Yeah, there's not, I guess the window sizing is based on the existing window sizes that we're replacing, and so that's why those exact dimensions are not in there.
But is the framing is there around the windows now, is that framing, that exterior trim framing, is that staying there?
We would be replacing, yes, we would be keeping the exterior trim as much as we can with, given how much the demolition would take out of it, we would replace it exactly as it was there, is our intent.
And siding, all same for same?
Yeah, same wood, same exposure, painted is the intent. Our goal is basically to rebuild exactly as there, but in a more stable condition to give it a longer life, because currently it's slightly dilapidated, sinking a little bit, just in that corner where that addition was once added.
So I'm sure somebody's going to make a motion, but I just think, I'm sensing everybody's in favor of what you're doing, but I think we do need construction drawings for this so that all these measurements and design features can be on one set of plans. So when we approve it and it ends up in the construction office, they know exactly what they're looking at. And if it goes astray somewhere down the construction line, they have the plans that they can review, not discussion that took place in the HBC meeting.
I see. So what you're saying is we require a slightly more detailed set, showing these exterior details, noting what the solid wood, noting the non-clad.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to attach that as a condition. I mean, but one of them would be full construction drawings.
Which you will need to get a construction permit.
Absolutely,
anyway.
yes.
So,
You're leaving here knowing that we don't have a problem with this, but what you're going to need is also what we want to give them so that they can give you the construction permit and then monitor it as things start.
Okay.
this is on for, no, I'm sorry, you had this on for file. It's on final. So I would propose, I'd propose to make the motion.
Wait a
We
minute.
would,
Did you have something? Okay.
I would just propose to make the motion, and the motion I would make would be for final approval of the plans as submitted, but subject to the 4 conditions of the windows being primed wood instead of aluminum clad, of the railings being not composite but actual wood, the same for the decking, actual wood, not composite, and for a set of full construction drawings being submitted. And I would say that those conditions be satisfied by submission to the review committee of the conditions we're setting here tonight. So long-windedly, that's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I would agree that's not too much for the review committee to, have to go through. It's well spelled out. Further discussion on the motion? Okay, Judy, I'll do a roll.
Motion by Mr. Testa, seconded by Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
No.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Ms. Bisagno.
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Actually, I want to say why I voted no on this. I think it should, instead of being a final approval, it should have been a conceptual approval. Because there's so much that has to be hammered out in the review. That's the reason I voted no.
Okay. Well, the motion definitely carried. Greg, do you have any more questions for us? Or do you understand the motion and what you need to do? And
I think I understand the scope of the motion
okay.
to appease the board here.
If you need more help, Judy's office is right up there.
Okay.
Monday through Thursday.
I'm sure I'll be in contact still.
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you all still doing work for Cape Resorts?
Yes, yeah, we do a lot of work for Cape Resorts.
Yeah. You did, Stokes did the architectural work on the church across the street.
Yeah, we've worked with Cape Resorts extensively over the years. So, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving on to our next application, which is for Jason and Jean Schaefer at 1002 St. James Place, but that's not where the project is.
No, it's on Washington Street.
Another Washington.
Yes, yeah.
So, Mr. Vice Chair?
111 Washington Street.
Mr. Vice Chair, I need to recuse myself from this discussion because I'll be presenting as the designer of the project, noting that this is conceptual, not a final submission. Okay?
Thank you. Jason, hit your little.
Yep.
There you go.
Sure.
If you'll all introduce yourselves.
Go ahead.
I'm Jean Sheffer. We just bought a house on Washington, and we want this to be our forever home. We live here full-time, and my son is 16. He plays football for Lower Township, and we just want to create what the house used to be.
That was great. I'm Jason Sheffer. Nice to meet you.
How do you follow that? How do you follow that, right?
I'm with her.
Yeah. And I spent lots of time with the dog.
We do have a black lab.
And I'm John Becker. I'm the architect on the project.
Before we begin, I just make a comment here. This doesn't seem to be working with these barriers.
Can we substitute it?
Yeah.
No?
No.
Well, maybe we can borrow yours.
Oh, you,
Borrow
oh,
mine?
I can put one here.
As long as it's green, it should
Just
be
a quick
working.
comment. Obviously, Mr. Becker, this is for the record, Mr. Becker is a member of this commission. As a member, there really would be a prohibition on a member presenting an application in which that person's involved in, because it has the appearance of a conflict of interest. So, and I understand in talking to John, he refreshed my memory, there was a prior situation where he presented an application, and I don't know what the circumstances were there. But want to make it clear that this should not be a precedent to be referred to as allowing anybody who's a member to be involved in an application before us. This is only for conceptual, and I understand that it has to be presented now in this time frame. So my recommendation is that we proceed. Mr. Becker will present it in conceptual, but when it comes time for final, that another individual will actually present the final application.
And Bob, you're speaking with the presenter as a representative. There's no prohibition on a member presenting his own application, I take it.
That's true, yeah.
Just a representative.
Okay? All right. So this house is located, as you know, at 1011 Washington Street, classic street here in Cape May. The original house was built somewhere between 1860 and 1870. We can't really be sure, and that was the main block of the house, and there have been 4 subsequent additions. So what I'd like to do is have us start out by looking at the second page in your packet, which is A1.1. So all the way to the left depicts the original house and its footprint on the site with the property line shown. Not long after the original house was built, addition number 1 was added as depicted in the second drawing, labeled addition number 1. So that configuration is a 2-story house. Not long after that, a porch was added to the back of the L to enclose the entire rectangle, and then not long after that, or actually quite a bit later after that, was a kitchen that was added, which is the 1-story addition, which is hatched in drawing number 3. And that addition is also quite interesting because the ceiling height inside of that kitchen does not meet current residential code. It's below 7 feet. At least a portion of it is. Then the latest addition was not long ago at all, and it was the big deck and we'll call it the golf club shape, which houses currently the master bedroom for the project. What's being proposed then is that a portion of addition number 4 and addition number 3 be removed. Addition number 2, which is the enclosed porch, be reconfigured to house a new stair. The way that you can see that pretty clearly is if you look at the next drawing, or the next page, A1.2, the bottom right-hand corner depicts what's the extent of the current house that is being proposed to be removed and replaced. So essentially, it would be the second and third pieces of the 4 pieces of the telescope addition to the original block. Which, if you go back to drawing A1, which is the site plan, that's depicted. So what is hatched in the finest hatch is in fact the new reconstructed addition that is replacing what is being removed. And the other hatch below that is the 1-story roof area, which would simply be an extension of addition number 1's roof, which you'll see in the elevations in a moment, which would still give adequate height to enclose a new stair in that location, which is depicted then on drawing A2. So at the top of the page on A2 is the existing floor plan. On the bottom of page A2 is the proposed floor plan. And in the top drawing, you can see that what's hatched lightly is in fact the area that will be removed and or reconstructed. The partitions that are new and the walls that are new are depicted in the drawing below. First floor plan indicated as proposed as opposed to existing by being hatched. So you can clearly see where in fact we have new construction and where we have existing construction. So the new addition will include a new kitchen, a new master bath, and essentially a master suite attached to the existing master bedroom, which is all the way to the right of these drawings, and a new covered porch directly attached to the kitchen. On A3, Again, the second floor, as it exists, is on the top drawing. The second floor, as being proposed, is the drawing below, which is where you can now see the new wraparound stair that is being housed in what was an old enclosed porch that later became a laundry room and a bathroom, as you can see on A2. This will therefore allow us to relocate the existing bathroom, which is essentially inside of one of the bedrooms, so that it can serve both of the two bedrooms on the second floor. A4 depicts all of the current elevations. The front elevation will remain unchanged. The rear elevation will be slightly revised, as you can see when we go to A5. And again, you can see with the left side and right side elevations depicted on A4, the sort of telescoping nature of these four additions that were attached to the original house and porch. So on A5, you see what is being proposed is, again, the front elevation isn't changing at all. The left side elevation, well, let's look at the right side elevation first. That's the bottom right. You can see clearly what's labeled there is the new construction to replace existing are what's rendered with roof shingles and siding. What's not rendered is essentially staying the same. The only difference, though, is you can see in the right side elevation that within the first addition, we're proposing adding 3 new windows, which of course would be wood primed 4/4 to match the existing windows. The left side elevation, all that's happening to the back of the first addition L, which is attached directly behind the tallest 2-story structure, is that the roof of that L will extend all the way out to the edge of the existing 1-story porch that has been enclosed for a bathroom and a laundry room, so that we can enclose a new stair to get up to the second floor. And you can see that that's dashed in the elevation so that you can see exactly how that stair is configured. Regarding materials, pretty straightforward. Geldwin authentic wood with simulated divided lights for both the doors and windows. Cedar siding to match the existing siding on the house. And a shingled roof to match the shingled roof on the existing house.
Is that your presentation, John? Are you done?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
So are we, I'm assuming based on the earlier instruction, we're advised that any part that's being taken out is a removal and not really a demolition, even though this says it's a demolition, right? So we don't have to go through any criteria relating to demolition?
Just like the last one.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just wanted assurance that that was the case.
We don't have to do any demolition hearing.
No.
Right. So,
Same as the other
Yeah,
situation.
same for same.
yeah. That's good.
I have a question on the materials list, which is at the very bottom, and it talks about removing and reinstalling roof-mounted solar panels, which was not in your presentation, and I wonder if you'd elaborate on that,
I
John?
should have mentioned that, yes. That was an inadvertent. So the all of the additions, with the exception of the master bedroom, currently have photovoltaic panels on essentially the entire roof. As you can see from the photographs, you can't see them at all from the street. And the intention would be to reinstall those back on the new addition roof.
Okay. So they would be as invisible in the future as they are now?
Maybe even, well, I was about to say, in one case more so, in the other case, they would be as invisible as they are now.
Okay.
I would say one more thing, too, regarding the materials list, is the lighting is to be determined. And, I know we were looking at the whole new
Yeah.
lighting ordinance, and I guess we have to take that into consideration.
Right, so at the conceptual, I chose not to submit that yet, because we haven't really talked about what the exterior lighting fixtures are, but they will be part of the final submission. And the builder that these folks are using is Bob Gleason from Cape May Contracting, so he will probably therefore make the final presentation when we come back. Make sense?
John, on some of the other additions that we looked at on historic houses, we've tried to make sure that there's kind of a straight line back, and if anything, it goes in rather than out. A section of your porch off the kitchen is actually coming out further than that line, and it looks like you would certainly need that much room to have a nice porch there for dining on, but, you know, could that possibly, if you, rather than doing a porch, if that dropped down to a patio out there, so you would not really have a built extension out over there?
So it would be possible to have that be...
You armed and dangerous, you're looking at me.
I'm praying.
Is it working?
She's making hand signals out
I
of
don't think
One
so.
doesn't.
Well, I have to say, that's a first.
No, but if you see the drawing, and you see the way that it comes off the kitchen, because we're gonna have like seating for 6 in the kitchen, and that's just gonna be like a built-in dining room, which, with my family being as big as it is, when they come to visit, we kind of need, but
So I was actually also thinking about it as a way to distinguish the end of, because in some ways, I'm considering the L as part of the original structure, even though it's not. It feels like it is. So that 2-foot extension of that roof sticking out a little bit to make that porch was something I thought would help distinguish it, as opposed to it being just straight back. At least that was the rationale.
Well, you're right, it does distinguish a change between old and new.
Right.
And we've usually done it by bringing in, and you're just bringing it out.
Correct.
On a very low level.
Seldom do we have the opportunity to have so many potential additions taken off, put together, and rationalized. I thought, and since this does no violence at all from the streetscape front view, which is an important one, and since it rationalizes and unifies what can only be described as a pretty low rambling set of plug-ons, to me, this is a great advancement in making the structure a unified and useful operation. So I mean, doesn't bother me that something pokes out a little bit as opposed to sticks in.
John, at an event I was at this weekend, and you were there too, somebody was talking about new roof shingles that are also solar shingles that go on, connect, but really look like shingles. Are you getting familiar with anything?
Yes, that's a house that was built, it's under construction currently on New England, and it's they're Tesla shingles, and it's the first shingle I've seen that appears, it doesn't have a shine on it like you would see with normal glass and silicon that is required for PVs. It actually looks like asphalt shingles. And I would invite all of us to go look at it because those shingles are installed. I forget the address on New England. But we haven't talked about that at all. And what I think we were assuming, and so I have a
Well, we
question
have-
mark. Huh?
we have to replace the roof anyway, so.
Yeah, we have to
may as well
replace the
do-
roof anyway.
We may as well do it. You're
We'll
right.
have to talk about that.
We have to talk about that because it's really a matter of
It
expense.
need to look like, you know, looking around the front of the house, you'd still be seeing those solar panels.
Well, actually, you can't, because they're only on the side that faces, I guess that would be southwest. Because the adjacent house is so close, it's only about, I think 8 feet away. I tried as hard as I could to get a photograph from the street that would capture the PVs, and you can't see them.
Yeah, you can't see them.
Yeah, you can't
If
see
I
them
could
at
see
all.
them, I would have not liked it.
Everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
Is this the house that's next to the old PNC Bank?
No.
No, it's next to Miss Boyd's house.
I see Madison Avenue coming in here.
No, so Madison is just shown on the surveyor's survey. Yeah, it's how many houses down is Madison?
3.
3 houses down is Madison.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have a motion for conceptual approval?
Will someone else make one?
I can't.
Sure you can.
I'll move that we grant conceptual approval to this project.
Second.
Jake?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion on the application? Any further questions to the board? This stands approved for conceptual approval.
Not unless we vote.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Judy?
Motion by Mr. Cogswell, seconded by Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Ms. Bisagno.
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now it stands approved.
I had to give you some way to pick on.
Now it stands approved.
I had to make your night.
Prayers were answered. Looks beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
I won't say much.
That concludes our new business. I'd like to say that we've had some discussions with Warren, particularly when our agenda started looking incredibly long today, as to ways that we might cut this back down to, and also try to have a reasonable hour of ending, like maybe 9 o'clock, especially since we start at 6. And I think a lot of us, as we get older, say, I'm not as sharp as I was after 9 o'clock as I was at 6 o'clock. And it might be a good way.
You never were.
AM.
Is this general discussion? You want to open this to the public? I mean, where are you on the agenda?
I'm
Just finished.
just on the general discussion. I haven't opened it to the public yet.
All right.
But would that be something people would be in favor of, cutting it back?
A clear time beyond which new business would not be taken up? Absolutely.
Okay. And we have a visitor.
So are you now open to the public?
I open the meeting to the public.
Yeah, sure.
Patty, that'd be fine. Patty Jo.
My name is Patty Jo Corrali. The only one of you I know is Tom. My Tom was a
And turn your microphone on.
Sorry, could
Yeah.
you spell your last
Is
name?
that on? Or is it on now?
Yep.
Corrali, Kirally. I am the current owner of 295 Windsor Avenue, which is this house. I've made a little photo collection for you. I am the 6th generation owner of this home. My family built this home in 1896, as best as we can figure. My great uncle Fred bought it from William Sewell. I have the original deed, not for the house itself, but for the land. And he bought the land next door and built the house next door and our house. So what I've done is we need a new roof. And it's time. It's a composite. It's an asphalt composite roof now. I have basically given up hope that I would get permission to put another asphalt composite roof on because it has been determined that at one point in time it did have a cedar shake roof. I asked Tom last year sometime if he would bring these samples in of non-cedar. These are the nicest ones, I think, on the market. I got another one in the mail the other day, and this one is truly horrible. I can't imagine ever putting that on any house, but these are pretty nice. I think that Cape May is not here yet for this concept, but I happen to live in California, and in California, we're not allowed to put wooden roofs on our homes for obvious reasons, because we seem to explode into fire every 5 minutes in California. You can put a wood roof on your house, but you can't get homeowners insurance if you do, because of fire. So that is what concerns me about this house. Because I am the 6th generation owner, it is a great honor and privilege to me to own this home. It has come through an accidental matriarchy down to me. I have the picture of the first owner of this house, which was my great-great-great-grandmother, Wilhelmina, who came and settled in West Cape May in 1860. And then it went down from her to my great-great-grandmother, my grandmother, who was Emily Cunningham. My grandfather was Bob Cunningham, who worked in Cape May politics for a while back in the 80s and 90s before he passed away. It's a great responsibility to take care of my home. I love it. I have loved it since I was a child. I spent all my summers here in Cape May growing up. So I am ready to put a cedar shake roof on, but I am afraid of it because I think we are not out of the woods regarding fires in Cape May, and I worry about my home because I was raised in California, and if you look at a cedar shake roof in California, you go, oh, shit, something bad could happen here. I would like it if at some point Cape May would open their the concepts to other materials to put. You were just talking about the solar shingles. That would be not in the view of the street. Of course, these would definitely be in view of the street, so I don't have any illusions about that. But I guess I'm sort of the ghost of Christmas future to say that I think it would be nice to start the process of thinking about alternative uses or alternative materials that look a lot like wood. Maybe in the future they will come up with even better products that look even more like wood and that are more, it's very lightweight. Did you want to?
Sure. He's very good tactile. This. Did you say that your house was a contributing structure?
It is a contributing structure,
Okay.
yeah. And also,
And
go ahead.
why do you say that you would not be permitted to put an asphalt roof on? Have you,
I think that my roofing contractor told me that. I brought some photos from.
we do have tests, right? So when you make an application for replacement of a roof, we have a sheet that you're required to review and look for original materials at the present time. So it's a two-section survey, and if you can certify that you don't find, because original materials may have been removed from
Yeah,
your,
I think that when you look in certain places in my roof, and even if you go into the attic bedroom, there's a crawl space. When you look under there, you can see the lath.
do you see shingles on top of the?
I don't see the shingles,
nailers?
no.
Yeah.
There's wood there.
Okay, I mean, you might be saying that you can't pass that test.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to skate through this, right? I'm trying to be totally unclear, and obviously, there's no way of hiding it, even if I were.
But
right?
I mean, in recognition of the many structures in Cape May, which really did go through those periods of removal of things like original roofs and substitute materials were put in place. So if you had, if that were the case, you would be allowed to put in an asphalt roof, were you not to discover.
I would love it if I were just allowed, because not only I don't actually like the look of the cedar because it starts out sort of golden color, right, and then it ages. And I like that how the black asphalt goes nicely with the trim on the house as it is, and it's been this color since I was a child. I was born in 1960, and it's always been a black roof since I was around, so it's going to be weird for me to see it different than it was in my own personal history. I also made a little diagram of all the changes that we've actually done to the house over time, just so that you would get the idea of how much we have tried to improve the home over time and made it part of what it is today. Originally, the house had, so it had no side here. It was stopped at the first doorway there. There was no back there. That was added later. It had no paint. It had no porch on the front. When it did have a porch, it had no porch railings and no spindles. And all of those things were added over time to make the house more beautiful. And now we're a contributing structure, and it's beautiful, but the one thing I wish we didn't have to do is the cedar roof.
So I'd like to make a comment, because I don't think necessarily, well, let me just read to you directly from the standards. I wouldn't give up hope on putting on a shingle roof, an asphalt shingle roof.
Okay.
Now, I'm only one vote, but the standards say if the original historic roof does not exist, but there is physical or documentary historical evidence of the original roof, it is encouraged that the new roof replicate the original. It's not required. So if there were existing, my view, my interpretation of that, and again, I'm just one person, my interpretation of that is if there is a shake shingle roof on the house, yes, you would need to replace it same for same. If there's not, and there's none there currently, it's encouraged that if you knew that there was, but I don't think it's required. And my personal opinion is we should not be requiring people to go backwards.
Which is why I asked what the tests would produce if one looked. It must be the hour, and I apologize for being. Did you say that right now there is an asphalt shingle roof over whatever is below it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And has been since I can remember, and I'm 63 years old.
I think what's really important for people to understand, probably you and a lot of other people, is that probably every single solitary house in Cape May had a shingle roof on it.
Yes.
Years and years and
That
years.
was all there was.
And
to
now
put on
they
a roof.
don't, right? Now they don't because better products came along or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you have a house with an asphalt roof and you don't see that there's any shingle, any shake underneath there, then you can replace it with asphalt.
Okay.
The thing of it is, if you go up in the attic and look up underneath and see whether it's a cedar shake or not. If it is a cedar shake, that's when you have to replace the cedar shake. And you can get cedar shakes which are factory dipped in many colors. You could get a brown or something like that, rather than have to go with the. I prefer the natural color.
John, did you not address the fire retardants issues?
There are fire retardants, and you can actually put a secondary fire retardant barrier beneath the shingles as well. But you're also opening up a really interesting discussion by bringing forward those. So, Tom, these are very different from the ones you brought last year. These appear far more authentic to me. So my question would be, all right, let's just say somebody decides that there is a shingle roof that is asphalt currently, but would like to replace it with those. They're not cedar. What would be our response to that?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to answer that for everybody.
Well, I think it's something we should
I
discuss.
mean, I've been very disturbed, too, with how many people have felt like they had to do the cedar shake roof and the extra to it. And the worries that they have about the durability of it. And not just private homeowners. I mean, the Kiwanis Clubhouse, the Episcopal Church. I mean, we've required an awful lot of people to do cedar shake roofs. These are better. You know, it's much darker than a new cedar shake, but
They come in different colors. I just brought the ones that I like. They come in like a blonde and all kinds of colors.
Can I ask,
probably would
I
hold their
will
color.
say this, Tom, probably having had to maintain a cedar shake roof when I was property chairman of the church, there are companies out there that will come in and help you maintain your roof so that it will last 100 years if they stay in business that long. But yeah, company that does the maintenance on that comes in, they clean the roof and they treat it with an oil-based liquid and give us a 6-year guarantee on it. So every 6 years they come around and have to do it. And I got a quote on doing that roof. That roof was put on in 2000 for $80,000. By 2010, it was $126,000. So I'm very aware of what the cost of they are.
Yeah, and it's possible that these are also expensive. I didn't cost them out because I didn't think they were possible, but I think they're getting the concept of alternative materials for instead of wood. That would be fire retardant, which these are, and they don't have any moss or lichen that attaches to them over time. That would be a nice alternative for the wood, I believe, especially with things that.
Can I ask, what is it made of? What is the
I'm
material,
not
actual
sure.
material?
There's something that's written on the back of them.
Who the manufacturer is?
It's a company called Cedar, C-E-D-U-R.
Hmm.
This one is a company called Da Vinci. This one is pretty. It's very plasticky and shiny and weird. That was very strange.
Rubbery kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
like,
looks like rubber.
it's painful to look at.
I have to do something with those old tires.
It doesn't have the materials that it's made of on it.
What is the name, what is the brand?
C, capital C, small e, capital D-U-R.
Cedar.
is the name.
Cedar.
Cedar.
Get it? Yeah.
Cedar.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure I had something.
If I had the choice between the regular cedar shake wood and this, I would do this, just
What
for
if
my
you had
own
a
peace
choice
of.
Between this and asphalt.
Well, the asphalt's cheaper, and I'd probably do that, but I would have if this were an alternative, I would do it, because I like the look of it. Actually, I participate in an art festival in California. I'm an artist, and our structure has that on the roof. I didn't know it until I contacted that company, and I never knew that it was not a cedar roof.
Patty Jo, could we keep one of these?
Sure.
For a little more homework?
Yeah.
Which do you want back, the bigger or the small?
The darker one I'll take back. It's like the darker color.
Yep, and I just wanted to say it too, we've actually had some internal discussion about this, realizing that the sourcing is an issue.
Yeah,
And
it
in
is.
some types of cedars are now on the endangered species list.
Exactly.
So, in the future, whether it's near or far, we got to address this issue. And, we're always looking for viable alternatives. So, we're kind of on your side now.
Okay,
Yep,
I
yeah.
appreciate that. So do you think that if I were to ask to do, let's say, like for like, with the asphalt that I have now, the asphalt composite, would that be something that would have to be checked out? I mean, how does that go? You have somebody come out and look at the house, or I just,
There's an application form,
Uh-huh.
and the application form asks you what you want to do, and there's a materials sheet in which you specify what you'd like to do as materials, but there's also a relatively recently adopted verification sheet where you have, or you either have made or you do, an inspection of the roofing or siding. It applies to roofing and siding, and you have to report what you find.
Okay.
And if you find original materials, then the asphalt thing, even though you're covered with asphalt, is not really a viable alternative. If you find those shakes and somebody just hammered an asphalt roof over a bunch of shakes, we're going to act as if the replacement needs to be.
so if you had evidence of a very small portion of your roof that still had, like I think that's what my roof has, is a very small portion of, you have to look kind of from the bottom up when you're in this attic crawl space. It's a small piece of ceiling about like this.
But we've required the samples to be taken from 2 locations. One of them has to be obviously from the front. And we've also had situations where we've proposed partial cedar and partial asphalt. I mean, as compromise measures and for the overall equity of a situation. So, yeah, I don't think you can read that as an effective precedent, but those are some of the things we've done. And you would basically work into this, and we would try to see if there's something that could be figured out.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
So it looks like they're made primarily out of polyurethane. Doing a web search here.
Is that good or bad?
Well, it's better than vinyl, that's for sure.
It's poly something.
I think I have also a problem cutting down a bunch of trees for a project that I don't actually want to do. That also is a little painful.
Yeah.
Especially because there was one of the contractors last year was telling me that they ran out of this one cedar forest and they were waiting for them to start a new cedar forest. And I was like, well, that hurts. Like, I don't want them to start a new cedar forest for a roof that I don't want. I get it for other, there's some beautiful homes in, Cape May that's always what they were. Ours was just this thing that we kind of created over time. But anyway.
You did a very nice job of
It's a great house.
making it look very original.
It's a great house. it's
Was
my.
that under Bob Cunningham's
It's Bob Cunningham,
ownership?
yeah.
Do you have any idea how long that
Cunningham
current roof's
for-
been on, the outer roof's been on?
Pardon me?
Do you have any
This
idea
roof?
how long the current roof has been on?
I have no idea. My mom was the previous owner, and I think she had it replaced 25 years ago, or 30 years ago. And then, before then, it was Bob Cunningham, my grandfather, and he probably had it replaced 30 years before then.
Yeah, so you're pretty much at the end of the useful
I
asphalt
am,
shingle
and
life.
every time there's a storm, a piece of roof falls down, and so I know that I have to do it. Otherwise, I would wait. I'd wait for this product to get better, or everybody else to decide that it's okay, or whatever. I just feel like I'm stuck in this little time piece here and all that. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guess you're heading home soon? Oh, my gosh. This was your last grandstand, huh? Is there anybody else from the public that wish to speak? Hearing none, I close the public portion. Is there any other business that needs to come before the HBC?
Apparently, there's discussion about payment of bills.
About, where's that?
Discussion about payment of bills?
Oh, yeah, looks like that's a new item they're requiring approval of.
Oh. Oh, okay. Is there a motion that we pay all outstanding bills? Is that what they're looking for?
Well, the bills are, the bills are bills for legal services.
Well, we don't even see the bills.
Well, they're denominated in amounts in the schedule.
We saw them, they were in
Where the redwoods, I'd rather be down south.
That I need to sign.
Well,
Yes, you have to sign it.
Okay. Does it need a motion?
well, I think it does. I mean, payment of bills.
And I move that we pay the bills.
Second Corbin's motion with respect to the bills presented.
Okay. Is anybody interested in how much we've spent?
Well, we all saw them, Tom.
all in our packet.
Okay. All right. There- Okay.
But if it's a revelation to you, look at them and then vote.
I missed it.
So motion has been made and seconded to pay the bills as presented.
Motion by Mr. Cogswell, seconded by Mr. Testa. Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Cogswell.
Yes?
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Ms. Bisagno. Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Aye.
Aye.
Does not require a vote, gentlemen.
What's today, the 16th?
Read your Roberts.
10/16?
Thank you, Tom. Well-run meeting.
Well, thank you, thank you. Once we got here.
Yeah. once we got-
I did contact Tony Mazzo and just asked him a little bit, might he be interested in taking the job? And he seemed to be very pleased to hear, but he did report back that, among he and his associates, they have too much work presenting things to zoning board, planning board, HBC, that would be a conflict for him.
Get out of here, this sick guy.
But he's still kind of looking around for replacements. But we would certainly welcome your. You mentioned one attorney, and I asked you to send me the name. I was riding my bicycle when I was talking to him. Who's he's a planning board advisor.